Good evening, everyone. My name is Marvi de Guzman, your reporter for today. Our topic is about the case study of Chapter 16, which is using technology to up your game. I chose the communication technology and its impact on supporting global virtual teams to discuss for tonight. This study examines the challenge of cultural diversity in global virtual teams, or GVTs, and the role of communication technology in their work. Where employees are situated in geographically dispersed locations, face-to-face meetings are hardly ever possible. Therefore, these teams are forced to rely heavily on communication technology for their work communication. There are contradictory opinions as whether communication technology helps or hinders intercultural communication. This paper seeks to provide guidance to managers in choosing communication technologies which will aid good communication and effective virtual work practices. Introduction. Global virtual teams or GVTs are a reality in today's business world. More and more companies are opening branches in different locations around the world, with employees who have never met each other working on joint projects in virtual teams. Furthermore, as the business environment becomes increasingly competitive, organizations are relying more on outsourcing, that is, using foreign-based subcontracted labor in order to lower their cost, improve responsiveness, flexibility, and performance, as well as increase resource utilization. However, as most virtual teams lack the face-to-face interaction that usually exists in traditional teams, some researchers have questioned the ability of virtual teams to function effectively. Since global virtual teams are located in different countries, they are inherently culturally heterogeneous. So we have Hendy C. of 1995. He believes that in order to perform, a team needs trust, and trust requires face-to-face interaction or physical touch. Firstly, we will discuss concepts of cultural according to two of the principal comparative cultural theories of today, Gert Hofstede and Edward Hall. The second section will analyze the relationship between management cultural diversity and virtual teams and how managers can overcome or at least reduce difficulties that teams experience when working over globally. Finally, a range of communication technologies used in virtual teams will be evaluated. These technologies will be analyzed in the context of the cultural dimensions outlined in the first section to provide a framework for managers to choose the best fit communication technologies for their team's needs. Now we have cultural diversity. Culture is the set of key values, norms, beliefs, and that members of a society or an organization share. Gert Hofstede states that these values can be described in terms of dimension, a dimension being defined as an aspect of culture which can be measured relative to other cultures. Gert Hofstede is one of the most respected cultural theorists. His famous cultural dimensions theory was based on a 6-year survey and analysis of hundreds of IBM employees from 53 countries. He initially identified 4 cultural dimensions to which was later on added a 5th. However, only 4 have been found in the literature to impact on virtual teams. First, we have power at distance. Second, as certainty avoidance. Third, individualism versus collectivism. And long-term versus short-term orientation. We also have here Edward T. Hall is another respected anthropologist and cross-cultural researcher. One of his important contributions is the concept of communication context. Hall stated that in low-context societies, communication is direct and explicit. In a high-context society, people have to be aware of verbal and nonverbal cues, which carry implicit meaning. In addition, they usually prefer to know the history of relationships and the backgrounds of the communicators. For example, more significance is attached to information coming from a person who has high status or who is respected for their knowledge or expertise in the field. So beyond Hall's concept of communication context, there are also many other aspects of language that need to be considered in multicultural work environments. Languages have many different parameters, including vocabulary, grammar, intonation, and idiom. These differences can be a major source of misunderstandings and a source of poor communication or collaboration in teams. Here we have management of virtual teams. Language differences such as accent and limited vocabulary can impact communication as well as how brusquely ideas or problems are expressed, which can lead to misunderstanding and hostility among members. Japanese can have a preference for verbal communication with more implicit and continuously negotiated agreement, as well as less frequent but more formal use of electronic media. On the other hand, Americans prefer extensive written agreement and explicit documentation, reinforced with frequent and informal electronic media contact. Part of any successful management strategy will be training. Cultural training and awareness is crucial to bridge the cultural gap. This training should compromise national and organizational culture as well as issues that could impact team performance such as how decisions will be made, how work is reviewed, how conflict resolution will be conducted, working hours, etc. In addition, appropriate training in the dominant language is recommended. Furthermore, managers should aware that there may be differences in members' technology proficiency. They should provide communication technology training and IT support if needed. Here we have communication technology framework for virtual teams. Management of culturally diversity involves communication first and foremost. Intercultural communication is always a challenge to all parties, even with face-to-face interaction. Culture will affect how individuals communicate with others because culturally learned norms, rules, and beliefs affect the way people communicate as well as predict the effect of their communication behavior on others. Virtual teams rely heavily on communication technology to enable the members to collaborate through different time zones and across geographical location. One view is that communication technology can decrease the chance of cultural diversity-related conflict. Lack of nonverbal cues and lack of accent in written media decrease the cultural differences. On the other hand, some researchers believe that communication technology may increase conflict and cultural barriers. The tool's limitation coupled with lack of face-to-face communication could reduce members' trust and commitment to the team and consequently reduce their performance. This occurred because of the lack of contextual clues available in most technological-mediated communication. In addition, the communication style of the dominant culture will usually take over and consequently deter people from different cultures participating. So since GVTs have fewer or even no opportunities for face-to-face interaction, choosing the best fit communication technology which supports the team's need for accomplishing a certain task at the right time is very crucial and a matter of survival. Different communication tools have different benefits and may not have universal acceptance with all GVT members. In the following discussion, we examine modern communication technologies and outline their potential benefits in the context of culturally diverse virtual teams. Here we have the table 1 provides a summary of the main tools and their advantages and disadvantages. We have email here where the advantages are provide record of communication, which will help reduce misunderstanding and help non-native English-speaking people who can write and read English better than speak it, while the disadvantages are lack of social presence since no non-verbal cues and lack of rapid feedback. We also have chat rooms, informal and ease of use is one of the advantages and good for building relationships, rapid feedback, while the disadvantages are to participate actively, user has to able to type quickly and write short, quick sentences. Put people who don't know the terms used in chat or who are from other language backgrounds at a distinct shortcoming. We also have teleconferencing, where the advantages are allows people to convey emotion relatively easily, more verbal cues, and allows rapid feedback, while the disadvantages are difficult for members to actively participate if they are not fluent in the language used and enter the conversation without seeing the other people and being able to pick visual cues. Hence, interpretation often occur. and lack of ability to fine-tune and re-examine the messages, which put members from different language backgrounds in disadvantage. You also have mobile technologies. The advantages are allow rapid feedback and flexibility provided by range of function, while the disadvantage is lack of ability to fine-tune and re-examine the messages, which put members from different language backgrounds at the disadvantage. Lastly, we also have video conferencing. The advantages are for global virtual teams, high level of social preference, enables team members to see facial expressions, gestures, and many other visual cues, and better than teleconferencing but not as good as face-to-face meetings. Also, good for relation building because allows members to put a face to the name and it allow rapid feedback. The disadvantage is lack of ability of fine-tune and re-examine the messages. So in choosing the appropriate communication technology or GVT, there are several factors to consider. First, cultural and language differences. The most important issue for choosing and using communication technology tools is in determining the structures of communication. For example, communication procedures, turn-taking, interrupting, and other social protocols. Different cultures have different social etiquette and different levels of power distance. Transgressions against this can affect the outcome of communication severely. The manager must therefore consider different cultural communication styles and strive to keep the environment tailorable to allow people to develop their own social environments. Second, we also have technology. So in addition, the manager also has to consider technological availability, reliability, and compatibility. Managers have to address differences in hardware, software, networks, and technological expertise to ensure that GVT members can communicate reliably and efficiently. Third, we have time and geography. One of the major challenges for GVT managers is finding the fine balance between members' needs, communication technology strength and weaknesses, and technological and time viability. Needs will change based on the task at hand. For example, one of the major disadvantages of GVT is lack of face-to-face communication and non-verbal cues, which can hinder development of trust. So, video conferences may help ease this problem. However, lack of sufficient bandwidth in some areas and the high cost of both installation and use are a significant deterrent to the more widespread adoption of this tool. Furthermore, it needs discipline and a high level of commitment for some members that live in different time zones to wake up very early and stay up late to participate in e-meeting. Now we have the conclusion. With the growth of GVTs in an increasingly globalized economy, cultural diversity is a fact of life. There's a challenge for organizations to manage this diversity effectively. Communication technology offers many different tools to assist. Choosing appropriate communication tools to enhance the work of the team is a real issue. Managers need to take into account the different communication styles and cultural backgrounds of the team members to ensure the successful performance of their global teams. One of the obvious challenges to the team manager is the fact that none of the existing communication technology tools is perfect in all situations or in all cultural contexts. As a result, a range of communication and other communication tools should be provided and employees from different cultural backgrounds given the opportunity to choose whatever communication technology they feel comfortable with. Using communication technologies effectively and valuing diversity by welcoming, recognizing, and cultivating differences among people will allow them to develop their unique talents. This will ultimately assist in the creation of effective and competitive virtual teams. That's all. Thank you.